emphasize that there's cowboys are not walking the streets. We talk about how to advocate for yourself. So if your family is still overseas and you might have that support system, how do you create a support system? How do you find that professor that you can connect to and explain where you come from? How do you talk to a counselor? Sometimes kids will go into therapy when they come back or to see a counselor. Counselor's never heard of this entire population, and then actually the kid has to really educate the counselor. And whether you like it or not, I would really encourage that the kid does that, or gives the counselor the third culture kid book or something like that. You're going to have to do some education. So anyway, you can see kind of what the other topics are, but that's what our curriculum looks like. And then, like I said, all of our mentors are professionals. This is one of our wonderful mentors, Corey. We have a huge team of people all over the world. So that's sea change. So I want to just stop talking at you and talk about what third culture kids are really like and what that profile is. So I hope you recognize at least one person on this. But these are all people that grew up overseas. These are all adult third culture kids. So we've got Obama, we've got Tim Geithner, former Treasury Secretary, Tammy Duckworth. You guys know Tammy Duckworth? Yeah. She's a U.S. representative. She's also decorated with the Purple Heart. She's a Iraqi war veteran. She went to Singapore American School, and she grew up all over Southeast Asia. She's American. Kobe Bryant grew up in Italy. Robin Chase, this is the co-founder of Zipcar. And Zipcar, yeah.
Where did Tim Geithner?
Tokyo. Actually, a few different places, but Tokyo is, of course, the one that I remember.
Interesting.
Yeah. Actually, when Obama was appointed, when he was elected, he appointed a lot of staff that had international childhoods. It's pretty interesting. Yeah. And so then Robin Chase, she's this really interesting social entrepreneur and environmental, I guess, activist, you could say, but she's a co-founder of Zipcar, which is that city car. Is everyone familiar?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's another really interesting person, very active. Speaking of great women innovators, she's one of them. And then I don't know, this is for maybe the younger crowd, but MIA is a pop star, and she's Sri Lankan, but she moved in a couple different places, India and England, and now I believe she's still, maybe she's in Brooklyn at some point, but as a kid she kind of moved around as well. So I have all these people up here. What I want to hear from you guys is, what do you know about their personality traits and their characteristics, and we can be honest, but let's not be mean. And specifically, which characteristics do you think are connected to their international childhood?
I have a question. Do you want us to talk about those people specifically, or a lot of people here have actually adult third culture kids themselves? I mean,
Sure.
As children. So
Let's focus. Let's start from here, and then we're going to talk about the actual human beings that these are humans, other people. Yeah. But just so that this kind of can unite everyone, so people that don't have adult third culture kids in their lives.
Well, it's pretty ambitious.
Yeah, okay. Ambitious. Yeah, pretty
ambitious.
Okay.
And brave.
Competitive.
Successful.
Successful.
Open-minded.
Open-minded. Yeah.
extroverted or outgoing.
Outgoing. Any other positives that you think are connected to their
Flexible.
Flexible. Yes. Diplomatic, yeah. My handwriting is horrible. I have Catholic nuns in Japan that take me out of math class to work on my handwriting. And I'm horrible at math and horrible at handwriting. And spelling. It's an English teacher too. I get up in front of people, I lose my spelling. Flexible. Anything else positive that we can think of? Determined. Okay. What about negative? Is there anything about these people's personalities that you think, I don't like that so much, and I think it's related to their international upbringing?
I think, how do you say that? It's not aloof, but the opposite side of outgoing is actually they do have
connected or
I think aloof is good. I think disconnected maybe a little bit. Or,
Not self-centered, but.
No, just, yeah, whatever.
yep.
You know what I mean.
Yeah. No, I think that's a really good one. What else?
I think sometimes they can be a little socially awkward,
Yes.
you know? Because they don't quite fit in.
But only in the United States, not not
Yeah, in the
abroad.
United States.
Yes.
Right. Outside of the expat community in
Yes.
particular. Yeah.
I was thinking of Kobe Bryant because I was in Colorado when his whole scandal happened. And there was so much publicity about, you know, people didn't know his background, but
Yeah.
he was awkward. He
He's
didn't
awkward,
fit
yeah.
in.
Yeah.
Where to the scenario that was, you know,
Yeah.
people thought, but, you know,
An outsider.
his peers.
Mhm.
So he was a little bit of an outsider.
It's true, and actually, I am not.
That doesn't excuse what happened.
No, I know. I was worried if I should even put him up there, but yeah.
It's his story's fascinating.
It is really fascinating, and I don't follow basketball, but actually Kobe Bryant always fascinated me because of his international background, but also his team members would say he's not a team player. Like he just wouldn't party with everybody. Actually, as ironic as that might sound, he wouldn't go out and party with everyone and go to the strip clubs and all that kind of stuff. He had his own world. He liked how it was, and he didn't let a lot of people in. And I thought that was really interesting to be such a successful team player. Yeah. Anything else negative that we can think of? Judy, did you have one?
Well, I was going to say loner, which is.
Yeah, like a loner. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Short attention span?
Short attentions. Yeah. Well,
No.
like
I mean, for
would
these
you
people,
be-
maybe not.
Oh, well, for these people.
I'm just thinking of somebody else now.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's true. I know. I can start describing myself. Um, so anyway, this is a good list, and I'm going to just kind of go through the positives now that the research tells us. But for those of us that have adult third culture kids or know them, this don't need to look at the research to know what the kids are like. So, so we talked about flexibility, so adaptability, same kind of concept. Creative, this is really interesting. I did a survey of 240 adults that grew up overseas when I first started Sea Change to get some kind of industry research. And creativity kept coming up over and over again. And I actually took that for granted in myself. I am a creative person, but I just didn't think that it was maybe connected to my international upbringing. But when you think about all the translating you have to do, and this sort of reading people's body language, and also finding alternative ways outside of language, especially outside of maybe your native language, to communicate and express yourself, that really makes a lot of sense to me. So creativity, they tend to be less prejudiced, although they might be a little more prejudiced against their own people, but anyone else they might kind of be a little more open-minded, and which we talked about. A lot of kids get to go to great schools. I mean, one thing that I used to work in the inner city schools in Washington, D.C. and New York, and I'll tell you, it is a very far, far away from the schooling that I got to go to. I got to go to great international private schools that I would not have been able to do in the United States. So very educated people. And they also tend, once they go to college, a lot of them tend to get maybe a master's or even a doctorate. They tend to be, they continue that spirit of education. Of course, cross-cultural communication, et cetera. So you can kind of see, so there's a lot of similar things here. The successful and the successful part is interesting. It's kind of, can you harness, of course those people were very successful, can you harness this experience that you had and put it to something worthwhile and innovative or whatever it might be. But some people, when they don't get past this sort of reverse culture shock that can last for a very long time, they get caught up in that cycle that I was telling you. My friend was kind of going from job to job and from relationship to relationship and not letting a lot of people in, and that's not good for any part of your life. And then, of course, linguistic skills, that's a really important one. Okay, so then let's look at, yeah.
Do you make any difference between someone who just was in one other country
Yeah,
as opposed to moving around 3 or 4 times?
It's a great question. Actually, it's really hard to talk about third culture kids because their experiences are so diverse. And so, yeah, what this is, again, the research tells us, but you can kind of use your intuition to understand that moving around more does put you a little bit more, make you a little more vulnerable, puts you more at risk. The other thing is the more different the culture is from your original culture, the more shock you're going to experience. So if you grew up in Asia or maybe the Middle East or maybe parts of Africa, and then you go back to the States, it's much harder than if you're coming maybe from certain European countries. like I know there's a bunch of people from this survey that were Dutch, but they grew up in Southern Africa, and when they came